problems for the global market. Before that, sir has been a deep tech entrepreneur himself who created 2 ventures in deep tech with 20 plus patents. His passion for children, literature, and coffee made him create Monkey Box, Just Books, and Bonhomie. He is a passionate student of Indian aesthetics under the guidance of Shatavadani Ganesh and has written and spoken extensively about how temples, scriptures, and culture has instilled entrepreneurship in Indian DNA. We welcome you, sir, for today's session.
Namaste, namaste, namaste.
Another eminent person who's sitting towards my right is Mr. Prashanth Vaidyaraj, who's the editor, Samvada World, Bengaluru. He was also a former bureau chief of organizer. So this is his 5th edition. So I welcome you too, sir, for today's discussion.
Thank you.
So as the topic itself is understanding of the global market economy. So we have to begin, let's begin with the topic of what are the current scenario of world market economy and what are the challenges we face in our current situation. So I would like to begin from you, sir.
Okay, right. So I mean, it's a very interesting time. Both, I mean, more for India. I can't say that it's very interesting for most of the countries out there. You go to any part of the world and then come back to India, what you see here is the optimism. There is some energy which is missing in any part of the world, right? So probably only exception to some extent would be Dubai. Because of its connectivity to India is another very interesting aspect. But with a lot of war happening around, right? I mean, 2 major wars that are happening around, and then unstable global economy that we are seeing in multiple countries, and meltdown of China as we are seeing it today, right? And then amongst all these global economic meltdown phenomena, the hope the world has is in India, right? And one is the hope, the numbers, etc., is one aspect of it. But what you see is, when you come here, you will see an energy, right? When you go and talk to any youngster, you see that I want to do something, right? I can do something. There is a belief here, which is not connected with your stock market, your VC funding, your numbers, your GDP ratio, etc. But there is a belief and confidence in India to do something better for the economy and for themselves, and that's what's the very, very interesting trend for me. That's what I'm seeing here.
Okay, sir, from you.
Yeah, on a lighter note, I think we need to work on Sunday crowd economics to get more crowd. Or probably it's like economics is a dry subject and I see very few faces. And on a serious note, talking about global market economics, as a student of geopolitics, if I study the geopolitical scenario today and how it's tied up with the economy of every country, for example, the USA, it is still the major economy and it literally dictates the most of the economic policies across the world. On the other hand, China, which has been innovating and growing rapidly for the last 2-3 decades, has seen a slight decline because of the investor confidence going down because of trade wars and changes in supply chains, global supply chains and value chains. Europe has been facing problems on various fronts, economic fronts, immigration, policies. Europe is literally on the decline, if I could say. The only 3 economies which are kind of working today, as Suresh ji said, India, Brazil and Mexico to some extent. Even among these 3, the fastest growing economy is in India, and India is the green spot for any kind of economic impetus, innovation, global supply chains, value chains as of now, and we'll be graduating to having our own global supply chains. So the global economic scenario cannot be studied without having a proper understanding how India works. And India is a very interesting thing, despite its internal politics, despite the challenges it has had because of COVID, the way India bounced back, it's been a lesson. The policies which the government took over the last a decade, it could, the policies from the central government, the innovation in the private sector, the confidence the private sector is giving to the entire world, be it our share market. So everything is, it's like the green spot of the world. So on the one hand, only thing which we need to be aware of is how do we make ourselves so reliant despite of black swan events which we may see, like COVID or any other new wars in the coming decades.
Yeah.
So that's my understanding of the global economic scenario.
As Sir was explaining beautifully about the global market economy, Sir just mentioned about innovations. So I just want to know what does the science and technology, the innovations have to do in the global market economy? Like what is the role played by these science and technology in the global market?
So I'll give you a few interesting aspects. In fact, I was just covering that. All of us know how AI is transforming industries, right? Virtually there is no industry in the world today which is not touched by industry, right? Whether you take shipping, whether you take manufacturing, whether you take your agriculture, you take your any industry that you take, right? So there is a huge impact of AI. What we are seeing globally is most of those systems are being rewritten. Most of the way the businesses work are being rewritten. Thus, all the software that we know are being rewritten by leveraging AI, right? Which means in AI alone, we will see probably tens of thousands of startups in AI alone globally, right? So there is only two questions that I have. If you need so many startups, A, where is the talent, and B, where is the funding, right? And when I say funding, funding is also within what kind of money you will be able to create a startup, right? I'm just talking from the economics perspective. I think that's where India shines when the innovation, right? So today, if at all, if there is a possibility to write all these, it's like Y2K time for India, probably at a plus level, right? Y2K time for India again. I think AI, just the software part of the AI, is a new opportunity for India, right? In fact, I fail to understand if any of the engineers today, right? I mean, we question what will happen to engineers, etc. I can assure you that just go and train them on AI with some programming language, there will be enough work coming to you in over next 2-3 years. It's such a great moment for India in terms of how we can go and contribute to the innovation. While I'm saying AI, again I'm telling you, we are creating AI for shipping industry, we are creating AI for, let's say, food tech industry in US, right? This is a chance for us to go and play across the industries around innovation, right? This is one aspect that I'm telling. Second thing, right, yesterday I saw, you must have seen Narendra Modi ji coming to Bangalore and launching Boeing stuff, right? We are also in a great position as a market, right? The worldwide, the people are looking up to us, right? If you want to sell aircraft, you need to come to India. If you want to sell anything, you need to come to India because this is the market where people are buying something, right? Governments are buying something. People are buying something. Whether you take Tesla, they have to come here to get their next market, right? India is an amazing market. And luckily what we are saying is, if you want to sell it in India, better come and produce it in India, is what we are saying, right? The moment this engine starts, the moment our market starts producing things, which will happen now, right? So I was wondering what would be the secret sauce for Indian manufacturing, and finally I figured out yesterday, right? That's where I'm so excited about it. The moment we start playing around in the manufacturing sector, innovation follows, right? I mean, the reason why we created startups in the software is because we have the IT services. We can't forget the reason why we have so much of product companies in India is because of the IT services. Now on the back of this becoming manufacturing hub, where we are arm twisting them, if I can use the word, to come and produce here if you want to sell it here, right? That would be the secret sauce for a lot of innovations around manufacturing. And that goes on and on. You take healthcare, you take any industry, right? Because we are also a market, we are a hub of talent, we will become the hub of innovation. That's what I feel.
Okay.
And sorry, just a last plug-in, right?
Fine,
so
sir.
I think what will redefine us, what will give us probably probably $5 to $20 trillion or whatever the number, that would be innovation, and there is a clear visibility to that happening. That is all that I would say.
Yes. So we very well, all of us are aware about the AI trend now and how the things are moving fast. Sir, anything you want to add on to innovations?
As Sir rightly said, there's nothing without innovation which is going to help our economy, and innovation is the way forward. But going a few decades earlier, just to get the larger picture, uh, since our independence till we opened our economy, if we take it as a learning, we did try a new model of economics, growing on our own, having our own institutes and all that. But that didn't pay us. We eventually opened our economy, and then we had FDIs coming in, foreign players coming in. But during the same period, China opened up a decade before us. And where's China today and where we are? So though we have some issues with China, both on the border and geopolitically, there's a lot of things to be learned from China. China created a model for innovation way back in 1990s, when, though they're an authoritarian regime, they're not a democracy, we have our challenges, but still the process of innovation from their institutes to industry, just like what Israel does, that was so clearly laid out. In 2000s, whatever the model which they laid out in the 1990s, they had a product and a buyer who were ready for every of the product, whether it's defense or AI or it could be software. They had their own products. They're never dependent on any social media products. Today we are using, every product which we're using is made in US or Israel. Yes. I mean, social media especially. China never used any of that. China may not be the ideal example, but we have to learn from them. Yes. See, during the same period, when US was the largest innovator, now today China, 2022, filed the highest number of both domestic and international patents. If I'm not wrong, they filed around 1.5 million patents, 2022. And the second highest was US. They overtook US in a matter of decade. And next comes Israel, UK, we are there, and the fastest growing economy, number of patents filed is India. India has grown some 36% and all that. But the ground we have to cover, when Indian engineers started working with US companies in Bangalore, they were, Huawei entered India, right? And most of the Huawei code, it used to have a header with Cisco. It's a famous story in software. From there, today, there's not a single product which doesn't come out of China. And that whole institutionalize of the process, right from innovation to product and then sales and marketing and going across the world, is something we have to learn. And I'm not taking contrarian view, but we still have so much to learn from them and so much to, paths to cover.
I think that's very interesting point that you mentioned, right? It's good that you spoke about patents and the papers, right? Papers are publishing, paper publishing, right? Today, in fact, China can almost go and say that even they have beaten US in their own art, right, in terms of going and projecting whatever others have done as their own, right? So this one. If I see a weak link in terms of innovation, right, our youngsters are doing better in spite of our universities. Sorry to use this word, right? So our youngsters are doing better in spite of all the challenges that we have in the different political conversations that we have here, etc., etc. I work with a lot of universities. My job is to make the brightest students become entrepreneurs. That's my mission in life. I work with a lot of universities. I really feel pathetic or bad when I go and say that I need to go and tell the universities, some of the better universities even today, to go and say that you need to publish papers not just for NAC, it's for your own good. You need to go on, and I need to go and tell the lecturers, please go and publish your patents, right? 90% of the time, this is what I used to do. We used to do as part of my fund, we used to do some workshops to motivate them. We used to help them identify the product. And after 6 months, when I go back and ask them what happened, they are not even applied. They said, we don't have time, right? This is the, I used to feel that this is just the incentivization. No, it's just the attitude, right? So, if there is one issue that we need to fix in this country, right, beyond all the other usual things that we say, corruption, etc., in some places, but I think it's the energy in our university ecosystem, right? And the motivation for us to go and do a cutting edge work. In fact, I go to all the universities and tell them, stop thinking that industry is ahead of you. You are better than in the industry. right? Worldwide, it's always industry that follows the universities, and here it can't be an exception, right? You are producing great talent who will go and do a Excel work after a few years if you just go and look at the job market. So it's very, very important for us to go back to universities and bring them the confidence and make them slightly more responsible and take ownership in terms of doing the innovation rather than just waiting for the grants from the government. They need to figure out that they need to step up and then really create some path-breaking innovations, and there is an opportunity there.
Yeah.
And if I understand correctly, it's like an attitude shift from the population which is required, whether it's the university, the products.
Sir, youngsters,
And
they're there.
the government can provide a platform.
Yeah. So
They
I
can
think
clear the pathway, but the people who have to create a product, come up with an idea, are the students or the private.
I think we have got enough money has come from government, right? In fact, I feel sorry to look at all the incubators and the amount of money that has been wasted. I think government has done enough. I think it's a high time for our university ecosystem to take responsibility and start pushing things.
So, being a professor, even I understand very
Sorry,
well.
I didn't realize that.
I understand.
Shamali would have,
Yeah.
sorry.
So, what is exactly happening? I agree with your pointers, sir. It's like only academic basis.
Really sorry, I forgot.
No. I agree. I do agree. So, students, it's like, what is there in the book and, what has been taught to them, they are only into that. They don't take, self-motivation is not there. So, as Sir has already taken up that topic, we speak about Make in India, Digital India. So, definitely, youngsters need to be motivated. They are all, young minds are more focused on what next and something innovative and creative they want to do. So people like us, people who are into teaching, definitely if we guide them in a right way, I'm sure the current generation will come forward and they will also be moving towards the right path. Now, as being an economic lecturer, I have been teaching my students about Indian economy, so pre-independent, post-independent, and current. So as we all know, we just mentioned about the other countries' progress also. So post-independent period, we know the Indian economic condition was not that great. So it was up to 1990, the situation were very tough. So the best thing what had happened in our country is 1991 economic reforms. Our then Prime Minister and the Finance Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and
I don't think we had any choice but to accept that.
Yeah. So Manmohan Singh, they laid foundation for 1991 reforms. So after that, we started with the LPG concept. So liberalization, privatization, and the globalization. What Sir spoke about the open economy. So with that, we started prospering. Definitely, we had a lot of financial crisis, deficit situation, but we started prospering. So what I am, trying to know from you both is we speak about India in Amrit Kal, correct? Okay. So according to the IMF report, it says in, India was standing in the 10th position. GDP ranking was 10th for India in 2013, which has, changed to 5th position as per 2023. And we are also, estimating India to be in the 4th position by 2026 and in the 3rd position by 2027. So, what are the challenges, sir? How is it, going to happen? Like, how we are going to face these kind of challenges when it is, India in Amrit Kal, everybody speaks about it. So, what are the, challenges and trends we are going to face?
Couple of challenges despite the government. I mean, right now the confidence in the government, probably for the first time, is very high, and that's a very positive note. People have confidence in the government, but it also depends on the kind of politics or policies we bring within. We are a democratic country, and being a union of states, having a different government, that is one challenge I see. See, I don't know how many of you heard Javier Milli's speech at the World Economic Forum 2 days ago. So, yeah, it was a lesson. While we have China on one hand, which can lead us to innovation, leadership innovation, the other hand is what socialism can do a country, right? So-called collective responsibility of economy and basically socialistic economies. That is one thing which we have to be aware of. I'm not against saying that we have to be per se against dole-outs or freebies or subsidies, but there's a certain amount of prudence which we have to exercise when we implement that. As Javier Milei says, Argentina was the fastest growing economy in South America in 1980s up to 80s, and today it's one of the poorest economies in the world. So that is a lesson for us. Yes, we have government which works for us. I mean, we might come out with a great budget, Amrit Kal budget. But the thing is, the amount of risk we are going to ready to take in terms of freebies and dole-outs, that's one thing. The second thing is, what are we doing? Yes, today we are part of many global value chains, but what are we doing to become pioneers in creating our own global supply chains? If you take 10 top global supply chains today, 7 or 8 are from US, with Amazon, Apple. The rest 2, 3 are from China. It could be Tencent or Alibaba and all that. So where are we today? So these are the challenges. Unless innovation, yes, innovation is the key. That's a given. But the thing is, where do we go from here? So that's where private comes in. Yes, the government policies do matter, the budgets do matter, the intention of the government matters. So it's always a public and private partnership which comes together. And I hope this momentum is there, momentum continues, and this is where the private players have to pitch in. It's not just the government policies. So these are the two major challenges which we see, the way we govern ourselves, and the second is the role of the private players. So
yeah. In fact, it's a great point. Innovation requires the infrastructure background. If you don't have the infrastructure, you will do that. But I will not be as politically right as he is, though he is expected to be a lot more aggressive. See, the problem with, I know that there is a case for subsidies. There is a case for freebies, right? I'm not discounting that. But what after that? Like 2 years of Yuvanidhi scheme is great. What after 2 years? What will you do with them, those youth? You are not only, of course you help them for 2 years, but you also took out the energy in them to go and earn something, right? So what after 2 years, right? So I really feel sad if we don't tell people what will happen after this subsidy, and this subsidy will always be limited. That's the reality of the world, right? So that's, for example, our National Skill Development Council, right? I went and I had a chance to look at the courses which are there. Most of the courses are outstanding. What's happening what's happening to the whole stuff today, right? Where are we even educating our students for the new age jobs? And hello, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, right. So I think unless we focus on empowering our youngsters for the required skills, which is also a part of the infrastructure that we should talk about, I don't think we'll achieve any great shock, right? But I want to take a completely different approach in terms of what are the biggest concerns I think. I think health in India is a big concern, right? This is what I'm seeing in youngsters because I work with, I'm sure even you would have seen, right? When we used to study, right, most of them who are 40 plus will agree here, when we used to study, we hardly remember taking sick leave, right? Today you go and look at the young kids, right? So 10-15% sick leaves are a common there, right? In fact, they come to work and 30-40%, right? Because that gives even more leverage for them, right? Our youngsters are extremely sick. Of course, all of us know the challenges of their mental wellness because they are part of the dysfunctional families. They are facing problems with the social media. They are unnecessary pressure at different point of time. There is a mental wellness issue. I will tell you the third most important thing, the value system, right? So there is no point in losing our value system, right? Because we are a democracy, right? So China, if you don't have the value, government will come and beat you down, right? Value system or this one. Here, it's a free country. So it's a lot more essential for us to retain our value and retain some of the good value systems that we are proud of it. Without that, I don't think we'll be able to retain some of the great advantage that we have today, right? So I would, other than the infrastructure and skilling, I would definitely want, in fact, it's again not the governments, right? I would go back and say that it's the parents, it's not the kids. I'm telling it's back to parents. I will tell them, if at all, if you need to take care of your kids, just take care of two things. Others you can't follow. One is make sure that they have the right value system. They will make money, whether you want it or not. They are a lot more self-centered. They are much better than you in terms of their own finances. Please don't worry about their finances. Please make sure that they have the value system, and please take care of their health, right? So not the fitness. I know that they can hit the gym, they can have all the supplements, but ensure that their basic immunity levels are extremely good. This is what parents should do, right? There's nothing to do with even government.
Just extending to what sir said. It's both a challenge and an opportunity. My next point is like you spoke about health. Health and infrastructure is part of the government's policy vision for Amrit Kal.
Yeah.
Health innovation. The third thing is sustainable development.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So it's both a challenge so that we show the world that we can have a sustainable development model, not just a GDP, just consumeristic model, but we have a sustainable model which is both closer to the environment.
Yeah.
Sir, if you have Indian values, values, sustainability comes to automatically.
That's the reason I wanted to speak about it.
Definitely, yeah.
So the PM has also in several speeches said that when he says sustainable development, it's based on our lifestyle, historic lifestyle,
Yes.
I mean civilizational ethos and civilizational
Yes.
lifestyle. That's very important, but how do we do it? Today, as of now, even we measure our growth in GDP, and it's consumeristic. Every year, the sales have to be shown at a higher percentage so that we have a show that we are growing. But who decides that? If the government decides, you know what happens? The political repercussions are different. It is so that it's the people who have to decide whether what kind of development model we have. Are we fine with the development model which we have in our cities today? Or how do we see it in Amrit in 2047? We say 2047 is that's when
vision.
100 years, we'll complete 100 years of being independent. But what is the kind of model? So yes, the government will have its policies, but people also have to, at some level, take up the responsibility and say this is the kind of sustainable development model we have. Government can push a few things. Government can tell don't litter at the most, but it's the people who have to follow.
That has to be, the policies need to be effectively implemented.
Yes.
Then only things can.
That can't happen without people participating.
Yeah, definitely. Right. What sir said, focusing on the health sector. So health, education and infrastructure, these are including the skill. So those are very important concepts. And as sir said, value education and value-based lifestyle is very important. Though the youngsters are hitting the gym there, we can, being a parents, we have to train them. Though the current generation doesn't like to hear about yoga, meditation and all. We have enough and more live examples in front of us whom we can, show them as a role models and make them practice on a regular basis all these things. Definitely, the health sector need to be, it's a worry. In fact, in country economy, when we speak about health, also we need to be, taken care. Okay, so recently we experienced, the big hit of COVID. So we all know what was the situation, the scenario pre-COVID and post-COVID and all those things. And as we are focusing on the number 3 position of India. So it's definitely US, China, and India. So, sir, your perspective of these top 2 countries, how they have survived? Like, what is the condition of these countries in reopening of COVID? Like, after the COVID, post-COVID period, how they have come up by all these challenges, including India. So 3 countries we can take, on a comparison basis.
I want to take.
Yeah. So, when being in the media, monitoring media regularly, clearly remember reading some of this Western newspapers claiming that there are 10 million deaths in India and all that. So that itself is a huge achievement. But maybe we didn't see it that way. That's how they expected us to go down. But it's, again, I think it's our lifestyle and the kind of innovative measures we took during COVID. Innovation comes into picture.
Yeah.
We didn't have a proper PPE manufacturing kit industry. Today it's exporting.
Yeah.
So COVID again has both been a challenge, a lesson, and also a good story for success, story of success. So, but again, I come back to the same point. It was participation of both the government and the people.
Yes.
people, maybe it could be out of fear, but still the people participated. They took measures so that their efforts are coupled with that of the government. But going forward again, the economy in essence cannot work without people expressing what they want. So if like in 2047, if government has a vision, the people need to have a vision.
Yeah.
So COVID was a black swan event, but the government may have some policies, but it's the people, the way they participate and way they couple with that policies of the government is something which is very important going forward.
Yeah.
So,
I think because you said US and China, that's again, I come back to where I am this one, right? That it created a huge opportunity for India, right?
Yes.
As much as this one, right? So now all the countries, especially Europe, started looking at China plus one policy, right? So,
Yes.
which created a tremendous opportunities for India, right? Were we able to take care of everything? No, we did lose out in between. Sometime we lost out some of the good manufacturing hubs to Vietnam and other things. But I mean, as a country, we are highly aspirational, right? You push us to the wall and we'll come back and bounce. Things can happen in spite of all the bad governance that we had earlier, right? So that's our strength, right? So it's a tremendous, post-COVID is a great opportunity. In fact, now it also a caution. I'll just come to that in a moment, right? Now, there is no company in the world, there is no country in the world which has started looking at China plus one policy, and naturally India comes up, right? As soon as the discussion starts, India comes up. But there is also a challenge. People have seen how bad China was when it became very, very powerful, right? Countries have seen how disastrous it was for them to work with China, right? And that's the same level of mistrust with which they start working with India, right? It's not that, I will go to India irrespective of what kind of experience that I have here, right? For example, Foxconn, the Apple experience that we had, Foxconn experience we had in Bangalore was a disastrous one, right? Wish we could have avoided those things, right? So while there is a tremendous opportunity post-COVID, it also needs to make us ready for being better than China, at least in terms of some of these experiences, right? And we have a lot more challenges compared to China. We are not as regulated as China, right? We don't have China gave power and real estate pretty much free for all the industries. We can't do this, right? There are other advantages and disadvantages of China. We can never be China, right? So considering this, COVID gives us an opportunity, and it should also teach us how not to be China, which is very, very important for me, this one.
As a fast-growing country, India, all other countries are looking at India.
Because we need to grow on our value system,
Exactly.
we need to grow on our democracy, we need to grow on our principle, we need to grow on our strengths.
Yeah.
Right?
So all are looking for a better substitute for China. If we are able to, if India
yeah,
is able to.
Better is the keyword there, right?
Yeah. So if India is able to be top one manufacturing countries, the rest of the countries will be secured. That's what they are thinking. Sir, you wanted to say something?
Thinking aloud, whatever you said. So whether it's COVID or any other black swan event, economy which is modeled after a straight-jacketed Western economy, probably it's more susceptible to black swan events rather than economies or countries which pursue their civilizational values and ethics.
Right, yeah.
It could be sustainable life, civilizational way, lifestyle.
Right. Exactly.
COVID is just an example.
Yes,
we
yes,
may
yes.
have many more coming up.
Correct.
But what is that will save us from such events?
Yeah.
Something which we have to think as a society.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that post-COVID period, country like America also could, they did not hit very badly because they could, survive with accumulated savings.
Exactly. Right.
And but 2024 is, expected to be a slowdown for US. So, talking about startup and digital or make in India. So, what are the, support we are getting, sir, from the government policies pertaining to that? If the young minds, if they are planning or thinking of to begin with all these things. So, how exactly they can, start with this? Any policies pertaining to
See, I
this?
think there are bunch of requests with the government, especially around investment, right? Taxation around funds coming into India, taxation around investments in India, long-term capital gain tax. There are bunch of requirements which are there in the India, which are there with the government. I'm sure they have reasons not to push forward, right? For example, even ESOPs, right? There are some tax-related policies that government should do, right? To we invite more investments into India, more investments into India, right? And then second one, I mean, hopefully that will get settled, right? So we can't allow state governments to the way they want to work, right? We can't scrap NEP one day and then start getting into another one, right?
Yes.
So much of wastage of resources. I think some of those are expected from the government, but I think as far as 2024 US is concerned, right? So I mean, there is an election coming there also, right? So hope things will work out better for us, right? Whatever happens in US, that's one thing. But as I said, there are certain amazing things happening within us which can create a great opportunity. I spoke about AI startups
Yes.
and AI startups in India. The whole manufacturing hub that will start booming in India, right? These are the real advantages. I think I'm pretty optimistic from 2024 perspective, and I'm also believe that in fact one of my areas of interest is how temple economy can drive the overall economy, and I'm sure
Exactly.
what happens tomorrow is going to have a long-term impact than just
I was about to
this one,
raise
right?
that
So
question. Yeah.
long-term impact on this country as a whole, right? So in fact, you will see, I mean, I was just calculating, right? Just the tourism, right? I'm not even talking about inviting others to get into that, right? Just the Indians start spending their money on internal tourism is a great
Definitely.
saving for us, right? So whether we want it or not, whether it was orchestrated or not, lot of good things are happening for us, and hope Ram will help us to do better in the next year.
Sir, adding on to that, the temple economy, however, you have started the topic. So, how it is contributing to our GDP? So, could you please explain a little bit to our crowd here?
Okay, so I mean, I will just tell you some small examples of how the temple economy has created, right? So, you go to any village in India, right? They will have this chariot festival, Rathotsava. They will have this one, right? So, 10,000 people will come, right? How do they know? Is there a marketing done? No, right? They will see that, I mean, they know that on Chaitra Masa on 10th day you need to be there in this temple. I'm just taking an example, right? That's there in Panchanga at the best, but otherwise it's ingrained in them. Next day of Ram Navami I need to go there, or next day of Holi festival I need to go there. That's what I know. I go there. Is there an organization? No, there is absolutely no organization. People will go volunteer, get the things happen, right? I mean, you will serve food to tens and thousands of people, right? Things will happen extremely well. Again, highly sustainable development, because you will not even hopefully will this one, right? Highly sustainable, right? So there is an economy that works without, I mean, it's ingrained in us. The planning itself is ingrained in us, right? And just look at this one chariot festival. How many people get involved? How many businesses that it will drive, right? How many professions it will help, right? So that's what temple economy has been doing well, and it's not surprising that if you look at our civilization, all the great economic centers are next to temples. Right? So it's all our economic centers, and temple was not a sheer religious place for us. It was an economic center. It was a cultural center, right? Whether you have dance or music or economy, it happened because of the temple. That's the importance of temple economy, right? So now, for example, even the new temple that we are talking about, right? So imagine the amount of impedance it gives to overall UP tourism this time, right?
Yes.
How I'm sure you will see a lot more innovation around how the different temples around each and every state will start leveraging this and start creating more programs, etc. So you will, whether you want it or not, it will have a cascading effect, and of course there is also a lot of good feel that will actually generate people to be more productive, right? That's what I see.
So you have to add on anything to this?
I mean, just one point, started off with innovation and how do you move forward. I was just talking to an expert on Israel very recently. Uh, See, a PhD in Israeli university ends up in a product. Am I audible? It's fine, yeah. So, a PhD in a university.
Mike is.
I think I'm audible now, okay. Right. So, whereas university in India, I'm not disparaging any of the universities here or the IITs, but a university in India, I mean, invariably a PhD in Israel ends up in a product. But here, a product is an exception. What a PhD,
Mike.
Yeah.
yeah.
So a PhD ends up in a what? In a book or a thesis.
Thesis,
Thesis.
which is required for their PhD,
Yeah.
by the way, right?
So, with a disclaimer that I'm not disparaging any
No, I
of the,
won't mind if
innovation,
if it ends up in a Nobel Prize. I won't mind that, but
Exactly.
unfortunately, it will neither go there nor here. That's the.
So we're talking about USA and China. So that's one shift in mindset which you have to do, which you have to make. So unless we innovate on our own, we create products required for us, not for a supply chain or a value chain which is part of the world, but we create our own products, our own supply chains. Unless we do that, Amrutkal will be following the dictates of bigger economy. We'll be a supply chain, part of a supply chain or a value chain, but we won't be able to create. That's one thing. And temple economy or temple management is something very unique. I mean,
Yes.
that is one of the unique products we have. But what else? How else could we add to the global market economy? Something which we
I
have
just want to add
think.
one thing, right? I believe that entrepreneurship is a magic wand which can solve pretty much any problem that you see, right? So, I mean, of course, I'm a VC, I need to say that, but even otherwise, I believe that, right? So, the moment our youngsters start believing that they can innovate, our parents will say that, okay, I mean, if you want to innovate, you have a career there, right? Unless we produce lot more and more entrepreneurs who
job
are
seekers
innovating.
to job providers. Job seekers.
Right. So, unless you encourage them to, in fact, that's what I go and tell all my students. All my 70 startups is run by youngsters who are 20, 21 years, right? So, I'll want to give you some examples, right? A young boy who is 19-year-old who came to me and said he wants to build a startup to motivate young girls to get married. That's his startup, right? So, because a lot of young girls are not getting married, and which is a big which was a big problem for his parents because his elder sister was not marrying, so he came and created this, right? So, I just telling you the way the youngsters can think if you just allow them to think, right? I have students who are doing smartwatches for the pets. I have students who are doing all kind of things, right? So, solving debt problem from crypto, all the youngsters, right? So, this is the only thing that I tell them. Before you get to campus placement, instead of you sitting for a campus placement, can you hire 10 of your classmates, right? Can you, instead of you trying to get 20 lakhs of salary, can you roll out 30 lakhs of offers to 10 of your friends? That should be your attitude. I think the moment our youngsters get to this mode of, okay, I want to go and innovate, I want to go and take the challenge and I want to build something else, a lot of problems, these things get solved. The advantage today we have is, there are funds, right? I mean, like me, there are tens of funds who are ready to invest in students at their idea stage, right? We are blessed with the kind of talent that we have in this country. We are blessed with the kind of talent that we have in the country. Our cost structures are still low. A student in US, by the time he completes his graduation, he is already on the debt of around $100,000, $200,000. In India, it's not there, right? I mean, today we still have a social structure wherein even if my son doesn't bring me the salary for 2 years, I'll still take care of him, right? We still have that social structure. So what's most important is we should encourage a lot more of our students to go and solve the problems, go and solve big problems, take the risk, right? And give them that cushion, give them that confidence. I think a lot more things will start happening. And that's probably an answer to all the problems that we are seeing here.
India being a mixed economy, as we already aware about the privatization, so this concept of innovation and startups definitely have a great scope for private sector. Being in India, we need government support and private sector also. Lots of investment or business are upcoming, or it is happening because of the private sector. Sir also mentioned, both had a talk about temple economy. I do agree with the infrastructure facility what we speak about. Tourism plays a very important role, wherein it is not only the natural tourism or medical tourism, we also have a spiritual tourism, which is more important, and it is playing a very important role. So with this note, we'll go for question and answer session, sir. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughtful talk. My question is, now we heard enough about US model and China model, and US model is all we know, 100% private-driven economy, and exactly opposite where China stands with completely government-controlled economy. And we as in India, where we falls in hybrid economy. My question here is, as two key drivers in any economy, apart from service industry, the manufacturing and innovation. I think service industry we are well matured, but we lack very much in manufacturing and in innovation part, which you both of you touched on it. My question here is, the government is doing very much in policies. We heard a lot of things. Every month there will be a slogan. It's coming regularly. We think that a lot of hype is created, and that hype is, to some extent, it is real also, because the first time we are seeing a lot of positive mindset and energy at the top government level. But what I am observing here is, it is lacking in implementing and hitting the ground, and that is where, this hybrid economy, what I think is giving us a trouble, because government cannot do everything, and private guys are not coming and pulling this cart actually, which is supposed to, what we are expecting is third biggest economy where we are going to. I'm looking at your observations, where these gaps are, though the government is driving at the policy level, but at the implementation level, where the things are not happening, because I see government cannot spend huge in the manufacturing industry or in innovation industry. And these two sectors are the real key drivers to move along when we are looking at the third biggest economy to reach that. So I look at your observations, where we lack or where the gaps are.
No, it's not lacking. As a private company, it's fair to expect that I will invest where I get the returns here. Right? As a private party, it's fair to expect that I only invest where I get the returns. Challenge is government needs to ensure that.
Mike.
Right? In whatever areas there are returns, there is enough private players coming into this. Where there are no returns, for example, manufacturing, it was not easy, right? So manufacturing, it's still very, very tough, right? I only hope all these things that we are seeing off late will boost up the economy, right? So there is still problem in terms of credits, right? So there is a difference between the way mudra loans are dispersed between north and south, right? You're talking about private players, I'm talking about within the government, right? So it's a lot more easier to go and get a mudra loan in in Bihar compared to getting a mudra loan in Karnataka, right? The implementation takes its own time, takes time, right? So that's where we have a structure which we need to live with, right? Which we have created over the years. It takes time. But I think once, just like the way UPI worked, when things start working, you will be amazed with the speed at which this country will move in, right? So again, I will say we'll do well in spite of all these issues. That's what I believe in. I don't think there is a magic stick to say that things will become efficient, super efficient, but that's okay. Those inefficiencies exist. They also give us advantages. We'll do well in spite of those things is how I would look at this.
Just one point is, he speaks out of experience. From what I see on media or what's reported on Twitter, see, it's a symbiotic relationship. Government, state government, central government, and private players coming up with this innovation. There are a lot of challenges. For example, if you want to, there are a lot of complaints about the single window. Yeah. So, how the single window thing works? It doesn't work as intended. It's a symbiotic relation. It evolve. I mean, things have changed over the last 10 years, but I'm sure over the next few years it will all, and the whole system will change. That's how I see it, positively, in a sense.
It's a quick question.
Good morning. So my question is, I heard you all mention about the GDP, and if I'm not wrong, India stands at rank 5 in the GDP complete income sector. But how right is it for us to even compare the GDP per capita income, where India stands at 139th rank? It's only around $2,600, I'm guessing. So one side we are fifth in the ranking, but per capita income we are at 139. I understand that the number 140 crores plays a major role here, but which is the right way to go to analyze the country's economic situation in these two? Second, also there's a small question, then how right is it for us to compare the stock market where it is to the economic situation of the country? Can we compare? Is there any relation, or do we say that the stock market sometimes shows a exaggerated picture? So that's my doubt.
Sorry, I'm not a theoretical economist, so I'm not a big believer in these numbers, ratios, etc. In fact, why not purchasing power parity then, right? Why? I mean, it's like a happiness index or the press freedom is better in Afghanistan than India, right? So I don't go by all those numbers, etc. I'm only looking at the trend, right? Is stocks market the indicator of economy? No, but it's a signal. It's a recent enough signal, right? At the end of the day, we need to live our life. We need to face the hardships that will, this one. But is the things in the positive direction? That's where I come back and say yes, right? What we understand is as long as our GDP is higher, as long as we are a bigger economy in the world, lot more of world money flows into our country. Right, lot more of world's money flows into our country. Lot more of activities that happen, economic activities that happen globally, will be influenced by us. Right, that's the only direction in which I will see that. Beyond that, I think he's the better guy to respond to this.
My only input would be that, see, GDP model is what we have been taught, we have been following. But as he rightly said, is that the only thing? I mean, we have to decide what do we do as a country and as an economy. See, GDP is based on being a consumeristic economy. So we take that path going forward in the Amrit Kal for the next 23 years? That's something which we have to decide. But again, if we go by that numbers, we are way behind. As you said, we're in 139. But what is it that makes us unique in terms of adding value to the global economy? It's something which we have to decide. I mean, we can sell out more cars, more products, but what is the system which we are building within? I mean, we are just mimicking some other system which has worked for them, but will it work for us? I mean, the beauty of Javier Milei's speech at WEF was the very same thing. It's like, it's neither capitalistic nor communist policies, but something which works for us. So if you ask me, as a student of geopolitics, I think we have to decide where we go. I mean, whether if our average income is $2,000, we go to $13,000 by 2040, does it mean that we'll be developed? Those are the things which we have to decide as a society, along with the government. Right? Yeah. I think.
So we are unable to take the questions here. As I understand, and I hope the crowd is very clear. Yeah, yes, sir.
Social response.
Why don't government institute what you call innovative responsibility for these corporates?
No, there is CSR money. You can
They are doing on their own.
CSR money.
CSR money is for corporate, social responsibility.
The CSR money can be spent on the innovation by for example, they can go and donate it to incubators. They can go and donate it to colleges.
But they prefer social sector because obvious reasons. There can be a better push towards innovation if the government puts some sort of innovation fund
Some benchmark,
or do these sort of things. Where no?
Sir, what I prefer is,
Yeah, you are correct. Individually also people have to take.
as a government, just get your taxation structure right. Leave the rest of the logic to people, right? That's what I would always prefer, right? So lesser governance is better for this country, right? Today you have government A, tomorrow you will have government B. Please don't take the control out of the government. That is better for you in the long run, right? One of the joke is Bangalore IT industry worked well
Despite the government.
Most of us were working in the night. Politicians were sleeping.
Yes, as economics is a huge subject and vast things are to discuss, and every topic you take it is debatable. People have their own perspective. As the time slot what was given is already over, so with this note we'll wind up the discussion. So thank you, Prashanth sir and Suresh sir, for the wonderful discussion. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, dignitaries. So that was really a very educative session. You made us remember our subjects and topics which we had learnt during our college days, and inspired to step on or switch on to other profession which we are going to. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a very educative session. Can I request Nidhi Hegde, one of the organizers of Mangaluru Literary Fest, to honor one of the panelists, Shri Prashanth Vaidyaraj ji, and the moderator, Ms. Usha Rajesh ji. So please be there for the picture. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for the session. Audience, please note, we are taking a short break. It's not